Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Tea Time with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 28th of March 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Thursday's afternoon session where we're going to have a look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Okay, so now then guys, let's quickly jump into the charts. Now the first one I wanted to show here is the S&P 500. Now of course you can see that since last time, since around the 21st of March, when the index kind of hit this month's high here, it slid lower, the index slid lower and managed to drop all the way towards the 2785 level, so basically dropping below the psychological 2800. Now it's kind of trying to push back above it, and it's currently sitting above it, of course. But let's see if it actually has the let's see if the bulls have enough steam to keep it there and keep it pushing further up here. Now in terms of the upside here, what we're looking out for here from the very short-term perspective is, of course, a nice good push above the 2830 level could open the path to back up here towards these March highs near the 2862 level. And of course, if that fails to withhold, then yep, a break above would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could see this one traveling further up here. But again, that's a bit too early to talk about that. First, let's see if it actually breaks above the 2830 level first, and if it does, then yep, we will target the March highs near the 2862 barrier. But if it struggles to get above the 2830 zone, now this is where all those buyers should be a little bit on the cautious side. We could see this one traveling back down a little bit again, but for us, let's put it that way, for us to get more comfortable with lower areas, we would like to see a drop below the not only below the psychological 2800 level, but also below this recent low that we saw here on Monday, and that was below the 2785. So a nice good break below that could open the path towards slightly lower areas. Initially we will target, of course, the 2765, but then we could target all the way here this 2740 zone, approximately there, which currently almost coincides with the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart. So that's why, guys, basically, long story short, what we're going to do here is, of course, we're going to wait for that break, either to the upside here, a break above the 2830 level that I was just talking about, and if we do see something like that, then yep, further acceleration to the upside is possible, of course, up until the March highs, of course, because that's going to be the important barrier as well in order to kind of consider let's say this index traveling further north in the near term. So basically we would like to see a push above these March highs in order to kind of get more comfortable in the near term with higher areas. But for now, from the very short term perspective, of course, it's currently trading above the pivot. Let's see what it wants to do with the 2830. If we do get a nice pop here, then yep, target the March highs near the 2862, and then we'll just take it from there. And in terms of the downside, well, as you probably now understood, we need to see a nice good drop below the 2785 level, which is here, which marks the lows of Monday, and then we will target lower areas, especially the 200 EMA here, shown as the black line on the 4-hour chart. So keep your eyes on that one, guys. Gold now. Very interesting activity here today, and I was talking about this one this morning. Basically, I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this short-term upside support line, which previously kind of acted as a good tentative line, but now you can see it was acting as a nice bouncing ground initially this morning, but the commodity failed to drive above the pivot, kind of got held here and it dropped lower. And also what I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this 1306 area approximately there, because you can see that it not only broke this upside support line, but also traveled below the 1306, and now it also pierced through the psychological 1300 and almost managed to reach the 1290 zone. I'm still having this area here as the next potential area of support. Of course, you can see that it just fell shy of just from $1 by $1 from hitting that level, and kind of currently it's trying to reverse back up here. Of course, let's see if the bulls manage to drive this one back here, at least back towards the 1300. But if they fail, then yep, we could see a test of this 1290 level today possibly, which also coincides with today's S3. So keep your eyes on this one. Very interesting activity happening here on gold, and of course, like I said, keep your eyes on this 1290. If we see a drop below this as well, then yep, further declines are possible towards the lows that we saw here in the beginning of March near the 1280 zone approximately there, so between the 1281 and 1279. So roughly, like I said, the 1280 zone, that's what we're going to be keeping a close eye on, but only if we see a good drop below the 1290 level. But for now, we can see that the bulls are trying to fight back here. Let's see if they manage to do that. So let me just adjust a few arrows here, and basically for the upside, well, if we do see a nice good push above the psychological 1300 level, there could be a chance we could see maybe this one traveling back up towards this 1306 area approximately there, or even maybe towards this this upside support line to test it from underneath. But to be honest, for us, let's say now, to get slightly more comfortable with higher areas, we would like to see a nice good push back above this upside support line, and of course a push back above one of these key resistance levels. Now just let me just quickly mark that here for our future reference. And this level here, you can see that the 1312 area acted as a very good area of resistance today, and also it acted as a good area of support here back on the 26th of March. So that's why this level, we're going to be monitoring that level very carefully. So basically, nice good push above it could open the path back up here towards these recent highs. But for now, this is where the commodity is. Keep on monitoring the 1290. Let's see how this is going to play out further down the line. So of course, as you probably understood, now similar stories happening here with silver. Silver is dropping here below this key 15.25 level, this key support zone, and now kind of traveling lower, but it's almost managed to reach our this level here, the psychological 1515 level, and previously it acted as a good area of support. Now you can see that it almost managed to touch that, but now it's rebounding and pushing slightly higher. Of course, keep your eyes on the 15.15 zone. Previously, of course, it acted as a good area of support, but also one time here in the beginning of March, it acted as a good area of resistance. So in a way, what we could see here is something like this again. So basically, if this commodity travels higher, tests the 1515 level, but fails to drive above it, then yep, we could see another leg of selling here, and possibly now we could then see the retest of the psychological 15 level again. So keep your eyes on that one. In terms of the upside here, we need to see this one traveling back above the 15.25 level, and only then we will target higher areas again. But for now, this is how it is, and this is how we're going to play the game right now. So we're just going to continue observing this 15.15 level on the upside. If it fails to drive above it, then yep, could see another leg of selling, where we could possibly then test the psychological 15 level. Platinum, one of my favorite ones as well here. So basically it managed to travel also lower, basically, in other words, all the precious metals are getting hit here. You can see that it traveled lower but kind of failed to drive below the, or should I say stay below the this 200 EMA. So now it's kind of pushing back above it, and also of course not to mention this upside support line. It's a bit of a tentative one, but nevertheless something like a gauge here. This line is acting for us now, so it's now currently traveling back towards the 841 level. It's currently sitting here. Let's see if it actually has the power, if the bulls have the power to kind of push this one further up here towards the, back towards the 850 level. Now if it happens like that, then a nice good break above the 850 level could open the path back up here towards these highs near the 860 and near the recent, well, actually we can actually put today's highs by the way. So today's highs were around the 864 level, approximately there, 64, 65, something like that. This is, you can see this from where it kind of fell today. So if we see, like I said, if we see a nice good push back above the 850 level, yep, we could be targeting again these recent highs around the 860, 65, something like that, approximately there. Don't forget that we're still trading below this downside resistance line here, very long-term downside resistance line that has been running here from 2011. And just quickly jumping into a daily chart on this one just to kind of show you what I'm talking about. So August, basically it marks the high of August 2011, and look where it was back then. It was around almost around the 2000 level, of course around the 1900. So comparing to the current price here at around 840, then well, that's a bit of a decline, let's put it that way. But again, its current is, of course, it's flirting still with this downside resistance line. Let's see if it actually finally manages to break that. Maybe this, at some point this year, we could see that. And but in order for us, let's say, to aim much higher, we would like to see a nice good push above the 878 level first, and then we will, like I said, aim for higher areas like the psychological 900 level or even higher. But for now, it is where it is. And like I said, looking at this 4-hour chart, let's see where the day is going to end for this precious metal. Will it stay above this upside support line, or actually will it reverse again and drop lower? And if it does drop lower and starts breaking the 831 level, now further declines again could be possible, and we could be aiming for the 821 or even the 800 level again. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, and let's see what it wants to do first with this upside support line. GBPUSD. Very quickly here, I was talking about this one this morning, and I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this oops, I do apologize, this upside support line, which got broken nicely, and you can see now it's kind of the pair is testing that line from underneath. Of course, it's also stuck here near this 131 level. The big question here is, will this manage to travel back up here and then remain, let's say, and close the daily candle above this line, or actually is it gonna remain here below? And then if it does that, then, well, to be honest, this is when we will target lower areas like the 130.50 or even actually the psychological 130 level again. So keep your eyes on this on today's daily candle and where it's going to close. Let's see how it's going to perform here, and if for us, let's say now to, let's say, get slightly more comfortable with higher areas, we would like to see a nice good push back above the 130, 160 level. Then I was talking about that level a few times here in one of my previous videos where I was covering GBPUSD. So basically, we need to see this one traveling back above the 130, 160. That's why I was saying that we're going to get somewhat comfortable here with the upside, because for a better confirmation of higher areas, or let's say a potential move higher, we would like to see a nice good push back above the 132.20 level, and only then we will target higher areas. For now, this little territory here is kind of somewhat of a neutral territory, but again, Very interesting developments here. Let's see how this is going to continue performing and how this is going to continue playing around this upside support line. By the way, just going to mention you that this upside support line has been running here from the low of the 2nd of January, so that's why it's somewhat important. But again, let's say, like I said, let's see how this is going to play out further. If it remains below the 131 level, further declines could be possible, at least initially towards the 130.50, and maybe then we'll look into the psychological 130 level again. Aussie dollar. Now this one's a bit of a tricky one, to be honest, because you can see it came down again to flirt with this level near the 0.7065 level. So again, it's kind of playing out as this nice support territory. Basically, this is what we're going to be looking at here right now. So if we see a drop below the 0.7065, that's wonderful. We could see maybe a further slide towards the 0.7050 area, approximately there. But now if that gets broken, now this is where it could become a little bit more exciting for the bears, as this could open the path towards further declines, and we could maybe then even target the lows of March, which were around the 0.70 level, so the psychological 0.70. But then again, for now, we still have one trading day left. Again, I doubt that something would have to happen strong that it would force Aussie dollar to kind of sell off sharply here, and let's say, you know, hit the psychological 0.70 level this month, because we only have let's put it that way, 1.5 days left to trade in this month. So that's why we could maybe see a further slide lower, but again, there are some key obstacles here on the way down, like a few of the support levels that I was just talking about, the 0.7065 level on the downside and the 0.7050 level on here on the downside as well, just like below that area. So, but again, like I said, drop below the 0.7050 level, this is where we could become a little bit well, should I say, slightly more comfortable with the downside. In terms of the upside, well, there are of course a few of the good resistance levels. I do apologize. Basically, long story short, guys, in order, let's say, to start considering higher areas, initially we would like to see a nice good push above today's highs around 0.7106 level. Then of course the next target for us could be this little area here near the highs of Tuesday, near the 0.7148.50. in a way you could round it up towards the 50, and then of course we will target higher areas if this one gets broken. Certainly there is another obstacle, small little obstacle to overcome here, which is the high of the 20th of March around the 0.7168 zone. Now basically, long story short, guys, what you could do here from the very short-term perspective is just first see what he wants to do with the 0.7106 level, and then aim for these levels slowly, just step by step, and then see how it performs around there. And if we do see a nice push above that, then yep, further acceleration to the upside could be possible. And the last pair I wanted to quickly touch on, and that's EURJPY. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Basically, I was talking about this one already, but still the same game, kind of the game plan remains here. We need to see a drop below the 123.80 level before we could consider further declines. This way, if we see a drop below this, then this would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and then we could of course target some of these lower areas that I've discussed in one of my previous videos this week. But you can see that now it's trying to push back, and it's kind of traveling right now back above the pivot. Let's see where this day is going to end, but still this little territory here between the 123.80 and the 125 zone, this is going to be our little neutral territory here, because a nice good push back above the 125 level. Now this is where it could become a little bit more exciting for the bulls, as this could open the path back up here towards the levels that we saw here around mid-March, like the 125.70 or even the 126.15 zone, which marks the high of this 22nd of March. So that's why, guys, for now, just continue observing this one and keep an eye on some of these key levels that I've got highlighted here, and let's see how this is going to play out further down the line. Okay guys, I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and if you want to join me tomorrow morning in my Traders Espresso, and that's 7 o'clock GMT time. But for now, I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.